Hello, hello,
Good
hello.
morning.
Andrew, I'd love to introduce you through the Association Transformation family. I'm excited to introduce you to my neighbor, just 4 houses down the street. I'm not
No
sure why we're not
way.
doing this in the living room.
No way. You live 4 houses apart. Oh my God,
The
it's
one
incredible.
and only Rachel Mace.
Hello.
Yay. Round of applause. Excellent.
There
Well,
you
it's
go.
real pleasure
Director
to
of
meet
Customer
you.
Experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I've been in the association industry for a minute, but I kind of blend in the background because I work in data. So I've worked for two major associations for 13 years, and then I joined Association Analytics 3 years ago. And I've been doing a lot of like data product development for them.
She came to the dark side. She came to the dark side. But you may have heard she's big time now. She's speaking at MMC. So she's going to be on stage. She's going to share the
Okay.
secrets.
Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry. Right. What's MMC? Right. You got to recognize that not everybody is in ASAE world and we don't all know what the speak is. So, what's
You're
MMC?
right. You're right. You're right. So ASAE hosts a spring conference, kind of the alternative to their annual meeting. And
Okay.
it's marketing, what is it? Marketing, membership, communications, and tech. So they've
Wow.
lumped all these hot topics into one
So
conference.
everything then,
It's
everything.
everything. It's
Right.
everything, but
Okay.
not the annual meeting. Yeah, that's
Right.
basically what it
Okay.
could be called.
And where's
But
this
it's just,
happening?
this is this week. It's
Monday.
now.
Where? Where?
Oh, it's just down the street in DC.
I
So
love that you love that you're just presuming because you're neighbours and you've been chatting about this that somehow all our listeners know exactly what's going on when. I mean, it's I just thought I just want to clarify for listeners. I feel like I'm on their side this morning.
okay, fine. Sorry, I'll slow down. I'll make it much more descriptive. But yes, the ASAE MMC conference was kind of my excuse to finally break the seal and ask Rachel to be on the podcast because she has queued up this great topic, and I know she's going to be delivering that as part of the conference. But
Excellent.
I just thought it was a good time to bring her in, and hopefully we'll. I'm going to go to her session, so I know I'll see her this week. But I thought that plus she's talking about something that is driving me crazy lately.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You introduced yourself, Rachel, so eloquently, but I didn't like the way you said I'm in the background because actually, I think you need to be in the foreground. I think what you do is so fundamental to the success of all associations around the world, and actually, don't hide yourself under a bushel. Get up there, get in my face, and tell me I'm the person that you need to be talking to associations because I do data which, quite
Yeah.
frankly, most associations I'm going to say that I work with don't do data very well.
They don't do data. No, they
They're
do
not
not do data.
No,
alone.
no.
And it's not just associations, it's private businesses as well. We would like to think that they're doing great with data, but I'm using private use cases as my example because look in your email box and just search feedback and tell me how many survey requests you have.
Yeah, yeah. Excuse me. So let's get into your session. It's kind of a long title.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I know exactly what it's going to be about. Maybe we can give it a little tag, a nickname today. But Monday morning, actions speak louder than surveys, engaging members through targeted feedback. And
Yes.
I mean, everyone's having problems with surveys. No
Yeah.
one's responding to surveys anymore. How are we supposed to talk to our members? Give me the background on how this session kind of was born.
Well, it's actually a funny story. I'm in my email box one day and I went to the UK one time. I know it's shocking, one time. And I rode the LNER one time. And since I rode the LNER 3 years ago, I have gotten about, I want to say like 20 survey requests from LNER. And I'm not a regular writer. I've done it one time. LNER, you have to find someone else to survey. And I'm thinking, how many associations are sending out surveys blindly
Mm.
like that and not getting response rates that they're looking for? So is my frustration of just seeing surveys pop into my inbox for things that I haven't really interacted with. And then when I do interact, it's like, you kind of know who I am. I already interacted with you. Why don't you look at what I did? And
Yeah, oh, I
that's
see.
how it was born.
I love
Okay.
that. For the benefit of our non-British listeners,
Yeah, can I get the
LNER,
translation?
that's the London North East Railway. It runs from London up to Edinburgh. So I'm guessing you were traveling up the East Coast, somewhere
Yes.
along there. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's really interesting. I hadn't really thought of it that way. My God, yeah, you're right. Actually, as you're talking, I'm thinking, Yeah, I'm getting it constantly from someone I've maybe literally bumped into online, and suddenly I'm their best friend and they want to know everything about me, but they're not really asking me. They're not being particularly targeted. They just like throw in, just it's almost this. It's not even scattergun anymore. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just throw swamping me
Yeah.
with survey requests,
Well, and
but
it's
not
not just
necessarily
survey
targeted.
requests. I get requests for endorsements or give me an online review.
Yeah.
It's in so many different formats now and on text. My chiropractor is stalking me until I give him an online review. And out of principle, I'm refusing. But
Yes.
it's every which way. It's every which way. But
Yeah.
so let's see, who are you chat? Oh, you are headlining. You don't have a panel. You are headlining this
Yeah.
session solo. That's rare for this conference. Usually
It
there's
is.
two, three, four, five people up on stage. So okay, Rachel Mace on her own. That is going to be exciting. So
And
what's the aha? What's the answer? I mean, give us the cheat
okay.
sheet of it.
So I don't want to give everything away because you have to come to the session. That's kind of important. But one of the ahas that I had was reading through some case studies. So what I like to do is I like to read through private case studies. And ironically, one of our neighbors spurred this, Jen, who worked
Okay.
for Marriott Bonvoy. And I thought, you know what I'm sick of? And I never got a chance to tell her. I was like, I'm really sick of seeing Marriott Bonvoy flood my inbox with things that they already know about me. Like, I'm staying at this hotel. You know which one I like. You know which one I keep going back to, but you keep asking me what I think. It's like clearly
Uh,
I'm good with this. And I thought, how many companies are missing the actions that people are taking that tell them a lot more about the person and then bombarding people with surveys instead. And I thought about like the ways that we give people data on us and nobody leverages or utilizes it. So the big aha is if you are doing a survey, you have an obligation to use that data for something. Like you can't just put that data in a little box and then say, okay, well, we got your data. Great.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the data. But the other thing is too, is you should also be listening to the stuff you already have. Like they're already speaking to you. Well, you should be listening. So those are the big
So
takeaways.
can I ask a clarifying question? Because
Mhm.
we talk about this all the time that if you ask someone their opinion, you then need to
Yeah.
truly listen and do something with it. But we don't get credit for doing that unless we tell the membership how we've used the data.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I mean, so is that a thank you email? Is that a newsletter article? I mean, how are we communicating to the membership what we do with this data? Because maybe that's what we
Yeah.
need to do to hold ourselves accountable for actually using it.
Yeah, so we actually did this at A2. I communicated via our community. So I used our higher logic community to post out a you asked, we listened post. And I was just very
Ooh, I
forthcoming.
like that.
I said, you asked us to focus more on delivery and less on educational content until we got to a certain place in your delivery process, to focus more on just delivering your product and then give you educational opportunities later. And we actually changed our entire operational way of being and focused solely on the way that we were delivering our product and the contacts we were having from a customer experience side with the customer until they got to a certain place in their delivery pipeline. And I put that in the blog post. And I didn't have AI write it or anything like that. I just wrote a sincere note in our higher logic community and said, I'm listening to what you're saying. I hear you. I'm going to go ahead and change my actions.
I like that. You asked, we listened. I mean, even
Yeah.
if you just put that as a sidebar once a month or when
Yeah.
necessary, I love that. I love that. You asked, we listen.
it's
And
interesting you
I,
said that we have to, at least you said, we have to act on it. Not always. We don't always have to act on everyone's opinion. I mean, sometimes that opinion is heard,
Yeah.
but it might not necessarily be the right. For example, we know that there are vociferous advocates of associations out there, membership bodies, whose opinion might be quite isolated and not necessarily reflective of the wider community. So I think I absolutely agree with you that we have to acknowledge and we have to let them know that they've been heard. I would counter that we don't necessarily have to act on it all the time, though, because sometimes they could
well, but
be,
inaction is a choice.
Yes.
Deciding not to do something is the choice.
and letting them know. I hear what you're saying then about and letting them know that we've heard you.
Right. We
might not be
heard you,
doing
we
anything,
weighed it
but
out,
yeah.
and here's
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
going to do, which may be what we've done. I
Mm-hmm.
like that. I like that. Well, and I also love what you said about Rachel about not presuming that the for-profit world has it all figured out.
Right.
They may have the money to experiment and make bigger mistakes than we have the opportunity to do. But I like that, finding their cases and seeing their examples of not only what to do, but what not to do.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So
Now, oh,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, Lisa, go on. Sorry, I was just going to say, in that
No, please.
scenario that you just taught us through, and that sincere acknowledgement, thank you, I've heard you, I'm doing something with that data, or not, but thank you, do you get any, do you get any, what's the kind of, we end up in a world of perpetual responses and thank yous and responses and thank yous, but what's the kind of general sort of sense around that? Do they then subsequently, are they more likely to engage proactively with you down the line? Do you have evidence that says, yeah, we were sincere, we were genuine, we acknowledged them, we thanked them, they were heard, and now we know that when they engage with us is genuine?
So no, not necessarily. And that's going
Okay.
to be hard for people to digest. But I do know in passing with some of my clients, they'll say, hey, I know you're focusing on this right now because they read the post, but not everyone reads the post and not everyone reads the communication.
Yeah.
But for the people that truly are curious, it's kind of like you have the receipts to back up the action. You can say, look, we did take this into consideration. And then we wrote an email on May 5th and we told you about why we chose not to do that, or we chose to do that.
So, given all the technology available to us, what are some good alternatives to surveys these days? I know in my work, we've added in a lot of focus groups and interviews, more intimate connections with constituents. But when you're looking to collect data from a large
Yeah.
list, what are some of the good alternatives to surveys these days?
So I hate to say this because it is a lot of work, but it's a lot of good work. And so one of the things that we do is we monitor sentiment in community posts. And so that's one of the things we
Oh,
offer our clients. And when they get in there, they're always going to the positive side. I'm like, nope. I was like, here's where you start. You start on the negative side because those are all the problems your members have given you to solve. These are
Yeah.
people who have laid out their problems, and it becomes the best kind of focus group. These are all the people who have identified the issues you need to focus on. And if you address that, it rewards, not only does it reward the feedback behavior, but it creates a pipeline for people to give that feedback specifically when they feel like it. And then they know that they're going to get rewarded by you addressing it. So it's a great feedback mechanism. And if you can create
okay.
that anyway, where you're letting people openly come to you and then showing that you're going to respond to that, even if it's the response is, we're not going to change this, but we hear you and we want to acknowledge that that was valid.
So
So,
the modern suggestion box is the online community forums.
yeah, yeah, it really is.
But I think about the title "Actions Speak Louder Than Surveys." Really, what you're framing, where we're starting from, is the need to have behavioral data. What
Yeah,
are our members clicking on? What are they attending? What are they buying? What are they saying in the blog? So that's a big lift. I mean, not a lot of organizations either are
Mhm.
organizing that or capturing that, let alone
yeah.
doing something with it. That sounds like a humongous data set that is really intimidating. How do you even start that process?
So first of all, you digest it into little bites. We don't hand our children giant plates of food. We start them with a little plate all cut up nice and neat. And that's what you do with data. You start with a little plate all cut up nice and neat. So even if you're starting with a spreadsheet of just people who did X and you A/B test, against that and say, okay, well, I know that these people did X and everybody else did not do X. So I'm going to A/B test my messaging, and everybody who did X will receive a completely different and distinct message from everybody who didn't, or new members. I was speaking with Greg Pollock from Higher Logic, and he was telling me, he goes, I found an association that doesn't market at all to their new members the first year. I was like, at all? And he goes, yeah, nothing. I was like, they don't market at all to them. And he goes, yeah. He goes, instead, they give them things that might help them with their career, hoping that they'll find what they want to buy. And he said they felt that was successful. And I agree.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the building of the relationship instead of having membership as a transaction.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. And I think back, you have one of my favorite titles. So director of customer experience. I wish there was no membership directors, membership coordinators. I wish we thought of them as customers or clients or,
Yeah.
whatever it was. There's such opportunity and tech gives us that. But what I took from your example was that you really need to know what problem you're trying to solve first,
Yeah.
and then go in and find the way to reverse engineer through your data your
Right.
options. A/B testing always sounds so intimidating and expensive and time consuming.
So cheap. I mean, it really is just two different mailing lists. And then
Yeah.
you just evaluate which percentage of them had clicks. I mean, and usually your modern email system will do that for you. So you could see list A had X clicks, list B had Y clicks, and then it's just a conversation you have with your team. The other problem with associations is that they silo and you lose that expertise that somebody else might have because we're worried about revealing ourselves. But I tell people, I'm like, pull up the data that you do have, even if it's rudimentary, and in a meeting and just tell them what you have. And they're like, oh, do I want to share that with them? I'm like, why wouldn't you? You guys work for the same place and your members are hoping that you'll collaborate and give them something better. So why wouldn't you? Just share. They're like, well, what if it's wrong? Then say it's wrong. Like, just say I'm wrong.
Andrew, are you okay? That's you're thinking really hard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, circumstances like that blow my mind. Like the job isn't difficult enough in the first place. Like we don't, to then be making it harder for ourselves by by working in silos internally, when actually if you've got a safe space to be testing hypotheses, looking at data, analyzing what's right, what's wrong. It's got to be internally within in and amongst your team. And I think people who then put themselves internally into silos and then aren't even willing to share your own data internally, it just makes for an exhausting experience. And I think, when we talk about, stepping back and looking at the association as a bigger, the bigger picture, the bigger system of the association, it just speaks to me about one of the more fundamental issues that's holding back the constructive use of data, of meaningful data. Because again, we could have the most fabulous data, but it counts for little or nothing if internally we're not then recognizing how each element of the system that is the association leans on and benefits from the other. It just exhausts me when I hear stories like that because I think, oh, come on, like we haven't got enough challenges out there. Can we just stop being silly and start just being grown up about it? Just saying. It's one of my beefs you've just highlighted there, and I
Sorry,
perhaps
you've
it's
hit a trigger, Rachel. He has several.
well,
He has
I
many,
mean,
many triggers.
I've got
Sorry.
several clients on the go right now, and I'm like, come on, they're just not being adult about it, and they're all being siloed, and it's boring. It's boring. It's not necessary because then you'll do great work like you guys are doing, and it's lost. It's lost because of internal the internal systems are not functional. And that worries me. That worries me a lot.
Yeah. I did tell people to when they join us as clients, I say, listen, tell your staff it's okay to be wrong. And they're like, what? I'm like, tell your staff before they go into training, it's okay to be wrong. They're like, well, is it? I'm like, yeah, it's totally okay to be
They
wrong.
ask you, they double check it, but is it?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, is it okay to be wrong? And I'm like, it's absolutely okay to be wrong. So,
So
Yeah.
I need to check something with Rachel. The word data, we throw it around. I feel like it turns people off. I feel like they automatically presume, what if we just we stopped using data and we considered it just a holistic business intelligence?
yeah, insights. I mean, call it shared information. I mean, I actually would love to stop calling it data The two
I
words I'd
feel
like
like
to stop
that.
using are data and AI. Let's just stop.
No, let's just stop. Oh yeah, Andrew's very yeah. You support this, right? I mean, you're
Oh,
not
100%, 100%. I actually think a lot of the time we're using simple language like data almost as an excuse to not,
yeah,
data is massive, it's too big, it's
exactly.
impenetrable. That's data. But you're right. If we say, yeah, but it's just insights into
Or
how our
just member
membership
intelligence,
works.
or
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
take down some of these roadblocks and some of the it's become this cliche
Yeah.
and it just I don't know, it leads to inaction when it's really the source, the starting point for so much. But so what's next? What's next for association analytics after you save the world from surveys that no one does anything with? What comes next for you guys?
So we're always changing. And I think that we set ourselves up for failure when we try to go too big. I let what is happening determine what is next. So in our case, we launched a product called Predictive, where we try to predict whether somebody would become a member or not, or well, not become, but renew. And we are using a decision tree model, basically gives a binary answer. Yes, this person will renew, no, and this is how accurate the model that we use to train on was.
Ooh,
Very cool, right?
this is very cool.
One of the problems is we're running with that product. We're running, but there is a certain level of governance and infrastructure that must be present for you to have the ability to train a model like that.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times I'll get on a call and I'll explain to somebody, I'll say, listen, I want to give you this because I like this product. I cannot give you this because you have no membership historical records saved anywhere in your CRM. And I want to give them this. But I was like, how can I build a model that predicts whether you'll renew if I don't even know your membership history? So we're still in the infancy of being able to get people to build out data governance. And if I could do one thing, I think it would be to evangelize data governance.
What does that mean? And I asked that as a non-tech person. When you say data governance, because those are two words that trigger people. Now
Yeah.
you brought them together.
Oh, yeah.
Data governance. What the heck are we really talking about?
So let's put it into words that we can all feel better about. Remember when that lady Marie Kondo came out and she was organizing your life and telling
Oh,
you,
yes. Yeah.
yep,
I fold
yep.
my socks differently now. Yes.
Yeah, and you bought the containers and you put the stuff in the containers and it looked beautiful.
Andrew has no idea you don't remember in COVID when there was that window where you were purging and you were organizing, and she brought in this like I don't know, Japanese. It was like this new
Yeah,
way of organizing your house and it decluttered. Sorry, maybe it was an American thing.
it was a show. It was crazy, but it was this obsession with putting things in the right place and having a super organized, house, which I don't have, but it's cute that she does. But it was about organizing everything and how you could find and access your things better if you knew where absolutely everything was and everything was in its place. And with data, a lot of times when we're implementing these systems, we're like, well, we just need a band-aid to make this work. And we do
Mm.
that for years and years and years, and sometimes
Mhm.
decades.
Mhm.
When we don't take the time to say, okay, if I'm going to have products that I sell, I need a product category so that I know which category of product someone's buying instead of just haphazardly throwing it all in miscellaneous.
Yeah.
So everything becomes a data junk drawer, that needs a little bit of organizing. And if I could convince people that it's worth the investment to do just even incremental organization on their data,
Yeah.
fix that junk drawer just a little bit every year,
Yeah.
they would see immense returns.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
not
Well, and
only,
everyone's
and not,
chasing.
sorry, I was going to say, and not only when you're deciding to upgrade your systems, because then that project becomes this enormous, expensive, overtly unnecessary monster that everyone then becomes afraid of, and it and so many organizations are in this self-perpetuating cycle of we don't have good data governance. We've, as you say, put a band-aid on it year after year after year. We put patches here, patches there, patches everywhere. Systems are not talking to each other correctly. You're not necessarily talking the same language in terms of the
Yeah.
data that they're using. And then we're suddenly surprised when we need to upgrade our systems and vendors are coming back and saying, well, it's going to cost you X amount. And we think, that's crazy. But it's all fundamentally because we haven't had good data governance in place. And I agree with you 100%. If you just look at that as a standard annual process, you don't have to do it all in one go. but we start doing it habitually, then everything becomes far more manageable. And what we put out the door, as well as how we manage our systems internally, it just becomes so much easier. And yet,
Yeah.
because of that band-aid, that we'll worry about it later mentality, we'll just fix it now. We've just got to the point where everything in terms of data governance is on its last legs and we're about to collapse, but we can't afford to do what we perceive is we can't afford financially to change things. It's just such a yeah. It's a
I
good
guess
job I'm
this is
not. It's a
another
good job I'm
this is
not there on
another
Monday
area.
because people would be like, "Oh my God, he hates data and
Yeah, hold
association
on. Let
and
me add this
governance."
to Andrew's list of triggers. Hold on. I have to turn the page. This is
Look, I don't think it's
more
triggers. I just think what
triggers.
we'd realize is that Rachel and I see it the same.
Yeah.
Yes, you
There
guys
you
are
go.
quite aligned. And I think what we're saying is you don't get to go to digital transformation. I feel like people are chasing this digital transformation. It's sparkly, it's shiny,
Mm-hmm.
new tech, instead of doing what did we call it a couple weeks ago? The donkey work, doing the basic stuff, doing the
Yeah.
hard stuff. And it seems so simple in the infancy of an idea as you're thinking about your financial resources, you're thinking about your human resources, like why data resources and data governance wouldn't be a category in every product discussion, every program discussion, every ideation you're having, that wouldn't be something on the checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been called the therapist sometimes because I come in and I know it's going to be contentious because I'm going to have to say the thing that they're dreading, which is, look, you're going to have to get everybody in the same room and we're going to have to talk about this. And you'll have somebody who runs like an area and it's not their fault. Okay. They're not, data scientists, but they're so afraid that one of their executives will see like that their data is messy. And I'm like, why? You're not a data scientist. Like, why are you upset about this? I would do the same thing if I had no idea where this data would land later.
Yeah.
So that's why I said it early on. It's okay to be wrong. Like, let's normalize being wrong sometimes and asking for help to get right. Nobody is perfect. And if we're chasing perfection and then hiding when we're imperfect, we're not doing our members any service.
Yeah. And it does come back to them. And it's so easy and so hard. It's again, not data, not going to get stuck in that mud, business intelligence.
Yeah.
And I know your background is in economics and account. I mean, you come at this from a business, the numbers, the data give you a path to delivering to your customers. It should all be so simple, but it's because we don't do it at the beginning or at the right time and then wait.
Yeah.
And then wait. Well, I'm excited about your session. And I think that, this is a conversation you could submit for every conference.
Yeah.
It's not going away. What do you've delivered topics like this before. Is this a room that's going to be just overflowing full, or is this going to be a room of a few tech people? I mean, I'm going to be there as someone who is trapped in the survey loop. I'm tired of running surveys that no one responds to.
Hmm.
And I want to know better about how to track and manage the behavioral data and utilize it. Who
Yeah.
else is going to be in this room? Who should be drawn to this session?
I'll be upset if I don't see a few clients. But I'll be preaching to the choir probably with people who are like-minded and they just want one takeaway maybe. And I know it's hard to get a takeaway out of a session, especially when you're sitting in sessions year after year and hearing a lot of the same information. But I'm hoping that somebody will come here and just look for one insight. And I try to pepper in as much external information outside the association industry that I can. And so I'm hoping my business case study will trigger something in somebody and say, maybe if I talk at my members more and just see what that captures. I was just at ASAE's annual meeting with my husband, who also works in the industry. And I noticed that their LinkedIn posts were more than double what they had previously done in prior years.
You mean in quantity?
Yeah, in quantity. And I was stunned. People were giving them usable feedback on their posts. And I'm like, you just surveyed people without surveying people. All you have to do is go read the posts. Yeah. Someone has to, spend 1 or 2 days just kind of sifting through the comments or posts. Like, what else are you going to do that's that high quality?
Mm.
And now you have real feedback about this conference that, from what I could tell, was a huge smashing success. So
Yeah. Well, and again, we should do a side podcast about association love stories, Andrew.
Oh
Rachel
no, no,
and her
I'm
husband.
not. I'm not. Oh, love story. It's okay, right? That's what you mean. Sorry, I thought you were like you wanted me to start loving associations. You're right. You were talking about relationships, right? Actual people and their
Yes, I
love
mean,
stories,
it's
right? Yeah.
hard enough for us sometimes to explain what the association world and sector looks like to our family or friends. To have someone, to have your partner, to have your husband in the association space. He's working for the Ambulatory Surgical
yeah.
Surgery Center Association. And so, I mean, they just think what their like breakfast conversations are. They're talking associations all the time. I don't know if that's my dream or my nightmare,
I
but
think it's yeah. Mm.
It's a little of both, and it helps to be quirky in this industry too, to be a little bit of an outside the box thinker, because it's so easy to get caught up in trying to emulate what the private sector does, but we forget what makes us different, and that's the relationships, that quirkiness that we have in the association space.
I love it. I love it. Well, Andrew, when you come to visit, well,
Mm.
I'll take you on a tour of the neighborhood, and we'll go visit Rachel and Anthony and have a little association chit chat, and
Definitely, definitely. I can't think
that'll
of
be
anything
great.
I want to do more than in my spare time go and have a chat about associations with people. Maybe we could just come around and have a few beers instead and not talk about
Okay, have it. We'll
associations.
do
Just
it
saying,
over
Rachel.
beers. We'll
Yeah,
do it over
Yes.
yeah.
beers. We'll add in the beer factor. But Rachel, I'm so excited to be with you in DC. Hear your session, sit in on it, and try to bring. I mean, my big aha today was you asked, you listened, or you asked, we listened, and that behavioral data. I don't even know what I have. I think people don't know what they have in terms of the business
Mm.
intelligence raw material, but this has opened up many pathways. We should have this conversation or a similar evolved conversation here shortly, maybe in the next couple months.
Yes,
You have
Yeah,
absolutely.
to come back. This
yeah.
is even now I'm just starting to think about the potential of all this. But Director of Customer Experience, thank you so much. See you at MMC, and be sure to check out Rachel's session if you're listening to this early enough. It's Monday morning, 10:45 at the Walter Washington Convention Center in DC. And Andrew, you won't be there, but I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do. Excellent. I look forward to hearing about it.
All right. Well, thanks, Rachel. And until
Thank
next
you.
time, put your members and your mission first. Good.